All right, so let's talk about reaction versus response. So really important to understand the difference between these two things. A reaction is something we do almost on instinct or reflexively. We don't think about it before we do it, we just do it. So I think sometimes people assume that reactions are more negative because they're more sudden or not thought out. And that's not totally true. A lot of times our instincts are spot on, and we all know that. We've all had instincts with our kids or instincts at our jobs that are built on years and years of experience or some base knowledge. And so we react, but we react in a perfect way based on instinct. So I don't ever want people to think reactions are bad. However, our reactions can also be reflective based on other things going on in our lives. So for example, when I am hungry or I am tired, I react to my kids whining in ways that I don't really want to as a parent. It does not match my values, but man, when I'm hungry and tired, I can snap. And that's when I yell or get frustrated or say really sarcastic things that don't help my kids understand the problem at all. Similarly at work, I found that when, as a teacher, when I've had a lot of meetings or I've had a very difficult day or again am hungry or tired, I don't execute my teaching in the way that I know how to, right? I have a reaction to something a student does, or I have a reaction to an issue in the classroom that I know isn't good pedagogy, I know isn't good teaching, but I still do it because my reflexes are based on my physical needs or emotional needs. Okay, so reactions based on instinct and reflexiveness, they can be really positive, but they can also be more negative in the sense they aren't the type of reaction we want to have or the type of response we want to have. And now we come to this idea of response. Response is intentional and it is planned out. That's what makes it different from reactions. Reactions, instinctual, reflective. Response is intentional and planned out. And what's great is if you're having reactions that you don't like or reactions that don't match your values, the way to fix that is not to just berate yourself or get mad at yourself or get down on yourself. The way to fix that is to plan an intentional response that you want to have. And so instead of saying, oh, I shouldn't do this thing, I shouldn't yell at my kids, or I shouldn't threaten students with late credit when I don't even want to deal with calculating it, whatever it is, you can say, okay, the response I want to have in this situation is this. When my children get whiny, the response I want to have is to disengage. When my children get frustrated, the response I want to have is to validate their emotions. I plan that out and I say, when this happens, I will do this. When my son stomps his feet, I will stand at his level and look him in the eye and ask him how he's feeling. When a student asks for if they can turn an assignment late, I will say this. And you plan out that response. And here's the most important thing about that. You plan the I part. When X happens, I will do Y. You don't necessarily get to plan what the other person will do. I don't get to plan my son's response. I don't get to plan my student's response. I can only control my response. And so that's the last piece I want to share with you about this. When you're planning intentional responses, it's really, really important to stay tied to what you're choosing to respond, how your response is, and not get super tied to the outcome for the other person, because we don't get to control other people, but we can control our responses and see what effect they have on others. So, with all that in mind, I would like to encourage you, if there is a reaction you are having to either your children or at work or other parts of your lives that it's not really the reaction you want to have to that situation, think about what intentional response you would like to have. Think about what intentional response would match your values. And then plan it out. When this thing happens, I will respond this way. And see, just thinking about it in advance, how much that can help you have the response you want, even if you've been having a reaction that's less desirable.